on this computer. Thank you. All right, so what we're going to actually do is we're going to start with this one. You're going to hear Mary come in a bit because she's working today. So you're going to actually see her come in and hear it and all that sort of stuff. And we'll just ignore that. But how do I get onto the group? Okay, so did I pay for these classes? All right, so I've just got to send a couple of links. Just bear with me. Just paste that there. That's okay. Go there and paste. There we go. And now because my computer volume is on, you're going to hear that ding every now and then, okay? I apologise ahead of time. I'm pretty sure Gidget got tickets, but anyway. Okay, I can sort that out. Okie dokie. Turn Facebook off. We don't want it. So we'll just wait for the others to hop in and then we'll get into it. And while we're just chatting, so I'm going to use just any old bits of scraps because that's what I do. And when I'm making these sort of things, I just grab what I've got. Hopefully you've got around to cutting most, if not all of your bits and pieces. Enough to at least start today's, and then you can always, once you get the hang of this, it really just flows on very nicely and quite quickly. It seems like a lot, but it really isn't. The main thing you've got to worry about when you're doing this is where you're actually stitching, where your needle hangs out. Hey, Mary, hangs out on the actual pattern. So that's Mary coming in. So Mares has just come in. Say hello, Mary. Well, don't say hello. So in my pattern, I've gone and I think I might have given you, I hope I gave you one of these. Did I give you one of these things where you can write down all the, I think I gave you a spare one each too, by the way. Are you recording this as I need to go an appointment? Yes, Donna, yes, I am. Yep, started recording, absolutely. So what I've done here is I've just gone and marked what I wanted to, what colours I wanted to wear. So you can see how I've written colours, I've written size of fabric and all that sort of stuff that I need. So I'm just going to respond to...
I didn't get one.
No, okay, so I'll email one of these. I'll make a note to do that to you guys. It just helps with placement. You'll also have a spare one, and the reason why I've given you a spare one of both the actual block as well as the side is so that if you make a boo-boo or you want to make it bigger, you've got one there to copy from, okay? You will need an A3 printer to do this, to get it in one piece. If you've got an A4 printer, you can always do it in two pieces and then just join, but you might find that it might be off by a bit. So Donna, I'm just going to okay, alrighty. So first things first, we want to do. Oh, looking for that is to hello. It's funny what I find. First things we're going to do is get these all cut out. So you can cut out one just for now. Cut out all of them, whatever suits you. I try to keep a reasonably clear area as I'm doing these things, but it doesn't always work that way. Now, I use the whole heap of fabrics each day. Let me grab them. The first one we're going to start with, and you'll notice they all have like A1, A2, A3, A4, and all that on them. They all have those sort of, I'll see if I can zoom in a little bit more. There we go. It's a bit better, isn't it? You can see that. So they all have numbers on them. Well, that's exactly where we're going to start. The only one we start with first is this one, A1. We always stitch around the top, like the whole thing of it. And we're going to stitch on the back. So it's going to freak you out. We're going to actually put the fabric on the back and stitch on the front. Okay, so it's going to be feeling like you're doing it in reverse, but it does work in the long run. Now, the other thing too is with your machines, your sewing machines, set your stitch length on 1.5 or 1.2 if you can, something close to that. So on your machine, you need to have your stitch length really quite small. If you don't and you still have it at 2.4, what it means is when you go to tear this paper out, it's extremely hard to tear it, and you'll get a whole heap of little bits of paper that you really can't get out. Okay, so the first one we start is with A1. Now, in my pattern, I think I had the hot pink there. Doesn't really matter. So A1, so what you do is you grab A1, so your fabric that is A1. So you would have, in your cutting, had certain sizes for that fabric. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is grab A1. Now I'm just going to use the yellow that I've got here. Imagine that I cut this with a nice blade and it's really lovely and clean, not half of what you've got there. Okay, so you want to make sure that it's big enough to cover that whole area. If you've got it where it's really just on the edge, like you can't use that bit of fabric. It really needs to cover the whole thing, okay? So once you've got that there, you can, one of two things, you can take the punt, I'll just pop it on, actually, I'll just mute all. There we go. This is to unmute themselves.
Hello.
Yep, there we go. So you can all hear me still? Yep, good. Okay, so you can either place, like I place it on the top, make sure it covers that area. I can see through, that line's dark enough that I can see through. And then what I'm going to do is go, right, well, I can take the punt that I can hold it there in place. I can see through here that the line's there and I can just hold it there if I want to and then take it to the machine. But me personally, that makes me nervous. So what I do is I grab a glue stick. Where's the glue stick? Sorry guys, I have glue sticks. So grab a glue stick, okay, turn it over, put the tiniest bit in the middle. You don't have to have it like, I don't want you to cover the whole thing, just a little dot in the middle, just like that. And get your fabric and you want it right side up. If you're using a printed fabric, like a normal fabric like this, like something that's printed, not dyed, then you need to have it design side up, okay? So if I was using this, it would be that way facing me, okay, not upside down. So just pop that there and then we're going to take it to the machine. I'm going to stitch all the way around that line, okay? I'm going to start in the corner and when I stitch, I am going to put my needle right in that spot and I'm going to go forward and back and then all the way around, right to that corner, all the way to that corner, all the way to that corner, okay? I'm just checking to make sure everyone has got on. Yep, I've got, I've got to admit them, sorry. Sorry guys, just making sure everyone's in now. Sorry about that. You'll catch up, you can always catch up. Okay, we're all in. Any more? All right, so that's what we're going to do first. Now, to do that, I'm going to need Mary's help because Mary is actually going to get the camera for me and aim it so that you can see exactly what I'm going to do. Now, you're going to have to come over this way, Mary. So back up this way. No cleavage. All right, so Mary's going to grab the camera. Just remember, it is attached.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
So, and she's going to put it so that you guys can actually see what's happening. Yeah, you are. You'll be fine. So I'll have that. Thank you. And you'll need to probably hold it. Just like to turn the whole thing so they can actually see. No, that's actually facing. This is why I say you're going to have to actually hold it. Just make sure it doesn't come unplugged. You can see. Okay. Now try and hold it really still. That's the hard part, I know.
I know.
All right. All right. So now, the instant reaction is to want to sew on this side. That is exactly where we don't want to sew. I'm going to just turn that one down. Here we go. So turn it over, place it under. I've got my walking foot on. It'll work either way. Just make sure it's flat. Okay, just make sure it's nice and flat under there, which it is. And it doesn't matter whether you start in that corner, that one, or that one, it's all going to be fine. Maybe come down a little, see if you can. And I'll just adjust this accordingly, guys. Bear with me. I'm going to try that. With that. Yeah, it's very blurry. There we go. It's very, there's a lot of light there, so I'm hoping that I can't sort of stop that. All right. I wonder if it's, oh, it can't come from the other side because of the cord. So I'm just gonna, we're just gonna work with that. And we'll try and zoom in next way. That's as far as we can go. Come over this way. And I'll try that there. All right, there you go, guys. Okie doke. All right, ready? So first things first, needle down. Now I'm going to put my foot down and I will lift up the foot and just move it to where I want it to be. And I manually put my needle down right on that point. Okay, that's right on that corner. And then I'll go needle down, needle up. And it wants to go a couple of stitches. I'll go 1 or 2 or 3. And then I'll just go slowly back. There we go. Okay, nice and simple. Then we stitch up to this point. Now there's nothing quick about this as far as your stitching, and the idea is to stitch exactly on that line. Okay, if you stitch either side, it's going to adjust it per block. Okay, so turn and then go to the next one. Right on that point, and I'll show you this as soon as we stop. And I can see it's right on there. And then we go to the next one. Now I can see the little daggy bits, so I'm going to get rid of that. If you don't get rid of them while you're going, it's going to drive you nutty. They'll be everywhere. As you get closer, just slow your machine down. Right on that corner, it's right in there. And then we're going to just go backwards. I'm going to use a cut-off feature. Okay. Now, turning that over. Oh, that's because I've got the two dots on. You can see that stitched down. There's a little daggy bit there. We're going to trim that off right now. And because I've done back stitch, I can do that. All right, I can just take those off. Nice and close because I've got the duckbills. Just be careful you don't cut your fabric. Not just yet anyway. All right, so that doesn't matter if I've got that reverse stitching there and you can see it. It doesn't really matter, all right, because we're not going to see it when we get to the next step, okay? So Mary's going to pop the camera just over there. I'm going to adjust it accordingly again. Okay. And You're going to see my lap if you don't want. Bring it over here and I'll show you the next step. Now the next step's really, really important. Okay, so I'm just going to find out where the camera is. There we go. So has everyone followed that so far? I'm going to go so anything, type it in the actual comments so I can see everyone's okay. Yep, all right. That's the first, that's a nice easy step. So you can see I have stitched on this side, and I guarantee you every time you do one of these, at one point or other, you'll stitch the fabric to this side and you'll be swearing at yourself, you'll be cursing yourself. So we always stitch to the reverse side, and your first thing you're going to do, once you've done that, is fold your paper back along that line, that seam, okay? Then turn it over, using your paper, get a 1/4 inch. So I've got a 1/4 inch from the edge of the paper, your blade, and trim that. Just take that off, just like that. Then fold it back out. Go the next side. Fold it. And fold it down, just like that. Pushing that paper as far away as you can. Create a nice straight edge there and cut a 1/4 inch. Do it again to all 4 sides. Now, if you wanted to, you can go through and do this process for each and every one of those blocks, okay? And that gets that, and make it like a, you know, almost like a production line. No reason why not. The only thing is that during, you'd have to do that after the demo, because at the demo time, I'm going to do one at a time. And then we go that, and that's one. So that's always going to be your first one. You're always going to have to sew all the way around. That's just the way it is. Turning it over, I now have done that one. Now, if you want to, tick it off so you know. The first thing we're going to look at is what is next. Next is going to be to sew A2 on. So my A2 is going to be a dark one. So I'm just going to use this. I don't have a bit of black here. Oh, actually I might have, hold on. Oh, this will do. Bit of navy, this will do. That'll be my dark piece. So it's a bit of an offcut from something else, but it's definitely going to cover that one, okay? So you would have cut this to the right length in your cutting sheet. I'm going to make sure that it actually goes a long way past where it needs to be. So if you haven't cut and you're wanting to do the cutting thing as you go, like I'm doing right now, which is more time consuming, because you can have them all in nice little piles when you've done all the cutting, then you just sort of make sure it covers that area. Now that's your seam you want to do, this one here. So as you flip, put your hand under, grab that seam like that, okay? So you can see you've got a hold of it. Flip over, that's your seam there, okay? Because as you flip it, you can get yourself a bit sidetracked, okay? Now, this is another thing you will do 6 times over. That is my seam this side here. So your instant reaction is to go like that. Well, that is completely wrong. You need to stitch and flip. So it needs to be level with the edge of that previous cut that you just made, and it is going to then be stitched and flip. Okay, now this is where you can add another little bit of glue if you want to. Personally, I just grab a needle or pin, I should say, and actually pin that down. Tyler, sorry, actually no, I didn't need it. So that there, just through there, but make sure it's well out of your way of where it's got to go on the machine. Okay, don't have it on the edge, because if you have it on the edge, you are definitely going to stitch into it. Because remember, we're going to flip it and stitch from this side. Now, when you stitch, I want you to stitch not on that previous stitch line. I want you to stitch on the inside by less than 1/8. Okay, so I'll just bring this up here, the camera. Where is it? There it is. So see that little blue mark there I made? That is where I'm going to want you to stitch. Okay, so I'm going to stitch that. I'm going to leave the camera here for a second and I'll come back to you. When you stitch this line, make sure that you don't go past anything. I'll show you once I've done it. Now, if you've got any questions, please write it down in the comments. There's down the bottom, if you move your little mouse, okay, you'll see if you move the mouse to the bottom of the screen, you'll actually see a chat thing and you can actually chat to me or ask any questions at any given time, all right? Yeah, see, and it looks really crooked, doesn't it? See how crooked it looks? And I'm okay with that because I covered the piece and I know that when I flip, it's going to cover the area it needs to cover, okay? But before I do that, I need to pinch those together, get that paper back out of the way, and then I need to cut my 1/4 inch seam again. Cut off that tiny little bit. Place that down, trim off your little hairies. Don't have your hairies. Okay, make sure you get that. And I'm going to put a pen mark on the stitch on this line so you can see here where I stitched. My second one. So there we go. So this one here, oops, a bit shaky, is my first line, which is directly on the black line that's marked on your actual pattern. This one here is the line I just stitched. It is literally just inside. It's a actual stitch width away, okay? So it's less than 1/8. Once you've done that, turn it back over and you flip. Now, this is where you get your little bit of glue. So you can, just on the edge, pop that little bit of glue, place that down like that. Wait, stay. There it is. Bit of warmth from the finger. Warmth from there. All right, so that helps hold. And then I'm ready to make my next move. Now, there's 2 ways of doing this. The original way I was told and taught was to then stitch that line and come back over, do the same process as we did with this, okay? Can you please add one of those glue sticks to my order from Donna Letty? Yeah, sure, darling, yep. I'll write that down. Actually, Mary's going to write that down because I don't have a spare hand, but yes, Donna Letty, glue stick, please. So that is now sort of sitting there, but that glue is really good. It comes apart really easily and it doesn't leave a whole heap of residue everywhere. You can pop, don't put it on where you're going to stitch. So don't actually put it, I can see my black line. Make sure you don't put it on that black line, all right? Flatten that down like that. Getting back to the next step, whoops, I heated her up with my hand. There we go. Now, my next step would be from what I was taught way back when, and I figured out nearly 18 years ago. Go figure that. How's that? So here, down to here on that line. Again, then you get the next colour and so on and so forth. And you'd stitch it again just on the inside, blah, blah, blah. But to skip that step, you can because you've used the glue. So the glue helps. Now, stay down here, little darling. I have to put a little bit more. I didn't put it in the right spot. I can see you. But again, make sure you miss that seam. You do not want it on that seam because then you're going to get glue all over your needle, all right? And you don't want too much on there because you're also going to want to tear the paper out. So the more you have adhering it down, the harder it's going to be. Just going to manually trim that back to a sort of semi-straight line. I can see that it's all the way back here. So I know where that line is. I fold the fabric back just to that line where I've got to sew and just finger press that down. And so now I have, and you can see here, maybe on the camera, maybe. You can see I've got a crease line. Now, it might be a bit hard for you to see on the camera, but it is right there. I'll get my things. All right, so I'll show you that crease line. It's right here. Right there. There's your crease line. Now I've got that line there. I can see it now. I'm going to go for my next colour. So colour, turning it over, is A3. What's it, Ace? A3. Okay, so you're going to need A3 colour. So A3 will be on here. So I've done, so that's the blue, and that would have been the hot pink is the next one. So I'd go for something that's in the hot pink side. So I've got plenty of that there somewhere around here. No, I'll use a different one. There it is. Okay, hot pink, we're going to use this one. I just want to make sure I've got enough fabric, which I will. And that's going to cover that really nicely. And again, don't sew that side. We're going to turn it over again. Now, there's my sew line. That's my fold. You want to move it a 1/4 inch away or more. Don't be frightened to move it a little bit more. And that's where you want to have it. Get your tiny little pin that you've got there, one of these pins. You can pin it on either side if you want to. Just make sure that it is well away. Just make sure everyone's in. Yep, they are. Everyone's in. Make sure they are well away from where you're going to stitch. Okay, so everyone following me so far? Hi, Helen. Yep. I've recorded this, Helen, so whatever you missed at the start, you can always watch again. And the other ladies who came in a bit late, yeah, you're welcome to share your video. You don't have to if you don't want to. I do have everyone on mute though, so if you want to do want to write something or ask me something, please just pop it in the chat box, okay? So that's just pinning it. I'm sewing all the way over here, so I know they are well out of my way. So now I'm going to flip it. Now you might ask, why don't I just glue that to that one? Well, because I want to flip it and then I'm going to have glue on the top and I don't want that. All right. So I'm going to run this from there to there. Now where I'm going to stitch, don't be tempted to stitch that line again for the 3rd time. We want to stitch A2 because this is the one where we've done this one, right? And this is the one we're going to do now. So we've done A2, which was the dark blue I used, and we're going to stitch this line. Okay, so don't be confused and stitch over here. You're going to stitch this one here. You've done that one. You're going to stitch this. So you want to stitch A2 or A3 to A2. Okay. So taking it to the machine, and I'm going to go from that single point there to that point. I start in the corner, right on that corner, forward, back, forward, back, forward, cut off. All right, and I'll bring it back straight over. All right. fabric flat underneath. Ready? So needle down. The other thing too is if you do go like one stitch over, don't freak yourself out, okay? Don't sort of go, oh my God, I've got to unpick it. You can cope with 1 or 2 stitches over. It just makes, it just means that it won't fold back very well from that side. I like to go back and forwards because it reduces the pull thing when you get them all together. And I like to clean up these threads as I go, if I remember, just to make sure they're all clean. And take out my little pins. Put them over here, little booger, come here. Now, turning it to face you, pinch those pieces together. Fold your paper, just like that, nice and flat. Flip her over. Don't be tempted to cut from this side. Fold it over so you've got that line as a real guide for where you've got to put your ruler. Pop your ruler on top of there. Cut that. Flip it back there. Press that down and flip. At the start, you guys might have missed too, my stitch length, and I've just made sure I've adjusted it, it should be at 1.2, 1.5. All right, this is going to make it easier if you tear out the paper later. So I'm just pushing with my fingers. I haven't ironed it yet. I've got the iron sitting there if I need it, but I have not ironed. I'm just finger pressing. Okay, that's exactly what I'm doing. That down, lift up, grab your bit of glue in the center there, place that down just nicely. And the next one we're going to do, because we've just done this one, like just sewn those two together. So we've got to now do, we've got to now just stitch that down there and there, because I know that they're going to get in the way. We're going to now do this side. You can't stitch this side because it goes past this one. Okay, so it has to be this side. You've got to go from the further, like the point of join, if that makes sense. Does everyone sort of follow that? That makes sense? Yeah? Okay, because if you were to do that, if you were to go and sew this on, how are you going to put these two in? It has to make it so that's a straight line there, and then you're going to sew anything in that area, okay? Anything that's that width. If it was even on this side, you'd still do it, okay? So I've got that stuck down. Okay, now if you want to, and sometimes I do this, I might do some temporary lines, and I might actually go and stitch down here and here and here. I'm not going to do that today, which I have to go in about 10 minutes. Where will the recording be to watch later? I will share the link. It should be the same link. So you should be able to just use the same one you've used now and it should come up. All right. If it doesn't, please let me know and I will send it to you via email. All right. All right. So I'm not going to do that. I can see that I need to start here. So grabbing that side, making sure I've got the right side, not doing it the wrong side. And I've got a line here from where I stitched on the yellow. You want to fold them back and just finger press them down on that stitch line. Okay. Don't have to do that one because I've already got a stitch line there. Just get your marker pencil if you can't see it. You shouldn't have to. I'm just doing it so you can see. And I've just pressed that with my fingers. So now I can see where I'm going to put that next bit of fabric. Okay, because I'm going to join it on this edge to this one. So rather than sewing, you know, all that down and blah, 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 I'm just going to do this next piece, making sure it takes the length of where I need it to be. So it's going to cover that there. Plenty. Flip it back over, line it up with that fold, that crease, and then move it up a 1/4 inch. Okay, pin it down just because it's being a little bit unruly over there. And then pin this side down. And we're going to stitch that line now, but we're going to do it again from this side. So we're going to stitch here. So we're going to be stitching A1, 2, and 3 to number A4. All right, so that's the one we're going to do. Oops, okay, that one there. Okay, because now that's done. So we've ticked off each one. Just making sure everyone's got me. Yeah, all good. All right, so that's the one I'm going to sew. So the one thing you've got to remember is I've got a stitch here that I've already done in A1. Remember that one? So I need to stitch just on the inside, okay, of that black line. If I was to stitch on that black line, you're probably going to see that white stitch when I flip the fabric over, all right? And there's nothing worse in a foundation piecing than seeing that stitch underneath showing. So I'm going to stitch that down and then I'll show you exactly where I stitched, and that way you can actually see what I mean, all right? So in these 2 sets. Again, making sure that they are and flat underneath. Okay. All right. So I will put a blue mark right on that stitch that I just did, right on the inside there. You can see just there, just on the inside. It's even less than a stitch width away than the other one. And the way I'll know if I've done it right is when I flip this bit of fabric, that white bit of thread will either show or it won't. Take out your pins, grab all this. This is the side we're working on. Pinch it together, fold your paper out. Again, flip it over, nice finger pressing. Your ruler and cut your 1/4 inch. Got it back there, okay. Flip that over, and there's no thread stitching. This first stitch line I did all the way around that yellow, that's not showing between those 2 colours. You see that? That's all right, Donna, no worries. And Denise, all good. If you need to scoot off, that's okay. All right, so how are you going, Maggie? I can see you doing it at the same time. Let me just unmute you. How are you going there? Just try now. No, you've got to unmute. I sent you a thing to ask to unmute.
Sorry.
That's okay, gotcha.
I've got one little line of stitches showing just there. Should I restitch that?
Can you show it up to the camera on the computer? So all you need to do is literally, you know how you've stitched that line. So what you need to do is, if you can see that white bit of stitching from, say, on the yellow, come back and restitch that line. Don't undo it, because if you undo it, what's going to happen is you're going to tear your paper. So come back and stitch just 1 fraction behind that stitch you just made all the way along. Okay, so that and that will grab and hide. There we go. So can you see that? Let me just do it a bit darker. So you want to stitch just behind that stitch you just made. There it is there. So if you do that, then when you fold it, it should just work beautifully for you, okay?
I think I'll change my bobbin thread to black as well.
If you, yeah, I'm doing it in white because I want you guys to see what I'm doing. I did mine, I think pretty much all in black, I think maybe
Yep.
grey even, yeah. All right.
Thank you.
No worries. Just going to mute you again. There we go. All right. So flipping that back over, I can see I've got a little area. I can glue that down. We'll just pop a little bit of glue, remembering not to put it too close to your stitch line. All right. Hold that over. Give it a little bit of a press down. Okay. It's just going to pop up on me, I think. It's just got too unruly because it's not a batik. Fold it back so you can see where your stitch line is going to be. And this is a little trick that a lot of people just sort of throw the fabric on and hope for the best. Fold it back, okay? And then you should be able to see that nice fold line. If you can't, get your pencil and mark it, okay? So you can actually see where it's going to be. You're going to get your next fabric, and your next fabric, just press that down, is going to be A5. So what we're going to do now is join A5 to A4. So we've just placed on the A4 fabric. Now we're going to join this seam, okay? So don't be tempted to sort of go, oh, well, I've got to sew over here because I'm joining the A5. No, and you've got to do one seam at a time, all right? Doesn't quite work that way. Trust me, I've tried. So this one is the next one we're going to do. But before we go ahead and do that, a little bit, come on, behave yourself. There we go, that's better. Just enough to hold. Nice. So my next colour, and I look at my chart, I've done those two and that one and that one. I've done my two dark ones and two colours. I've got aqua written there. Well, I don't have aqua, so I'm just going to use blue. That'll do. Okay. Clean that out. I want to make sure that it covers that whole area. Okay, and it's going through. Like I say, don't be tempted to use something that is just going to make it. You want it to really cover that area. So that when I place that on the edge of the paper and I flip it over, it's covered the whole area and more. All right. Now, come back over here. You can see it's on an angle. It's a little bit of a, what's the name? I might just quickly, that fabric was a little bit creased. So it has a angle on it. Be wary of angles on your fabric. So I'll bring that over here. Line it up with that line you just drew where your crease is. Move it forward a good 1/4 inch. That is where we're going to sew. Pin it down, well out of the way. And this is the same process each and every time. All right. And now we're going to sew that seam across there, but we do it from the front. Do you need to see me sewing on the machine to see exactly where I'm going to sew? No, everyone's okay with that? Good. Yep. All right. No worries. Any questions yet? No? Good. Continue on. Continue on. So I'm going to start here on this point, forward, back, and then all the way to the other end, right to the end with my needle right in that corner, and then go back and forward and cut off. All right. Maybe 2 seconds. Again, make sure that fabric is flipped up flat. It's not sort of folded over underneath. Okay. All right, here we go. Take those little babies out, put them aside, cut off your hairy legs, cut off the other side as well, or they will get annoying, like I say every time. Then your next step, grab that pinch of that fabric, fold that paper back. Okay. Flip it over, and we're going to cut a 1/4 inch again with your blade. So 1/4 inch is on the edge of the paper, the folded piece of paper. That away. We've got a nice seam. We're going to flip. How cool is that? We have literally just done that one whole block section. Now, because this is on the edge of the fabric, I am going to, you might pop a couple of dots of glue just up there to hold it, stop it from flapping around, or you could pin it. But I'm hoping that the glue should be enough. I might get the iron and just give it a bit of a heat set maybe. Might help it stick down a bit more. So you get your little iron and just activate the glue a bit. Okay, and leave that on. Sorry, leave that on there. Don't be tempted to cut that off yet. Just leave it there. It's not hurting anything. It's not going anywhere. I've glued it on a bit. And then what we need to do now is concentrate, because we've just done this one and we've done that one. I think I already did that. So the next one we're going to do is this one to this one. Can't go any further that way, and we can't do this side because they literally go past our edge. So we go all the way down there. So we need to do this one. So to do that one, we need to flip this way, double check that we've got the right side, which is A6, lift it up, A6. Fold this fabric back to that seam line. Don't do the second one, do the one where it's right to the edge, okay? Just press it down with your finger. A little bits of glue that you got in there too might help. Now, you can't see that fold line, get your pencil and just do a quick line across there so you can see where it is. Don't cut this yet, okay? Don't cut any of this. Just leave it there for now. We're going to now do the dark line, which is your A6. It's a black, okay? The small skinny ones are black. So just judging from this angle, I'll double check when I get over. I can see that that's going to cover A6 quite nicely. And that's my seam line. I'm going to go to the little one I drew, and I'm going to line it up with that, then move it forward because I want a seam. And that's where it's going to go. Just going to pop a pin across here and here. Oops, that's a bit of a wonky one. Okay, because I want to stitch here. I don't want them anywhere near my machine needle. All right, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take that to machine and sew that line across there, which is, you're going to join the A6 to your A3, 4 and 5. Okay, so I'm going to take it over and sew that. Done. Okay, take these little boogers out. Looks like I've ironed that one at one point. Get melted. Now, trim that off. Flip it over. Take off your hairy legs. And we've just done that seam there. I made sure I caught those edges as I came across where I've stopped and reversed. I made sure I caught them, join, flip it back over to the fabric side, pinch all that together. Just as we've done before, fold that nice and firmly. Ruler, blade, and cut. Okay. Move these scrap bits out of the way. And then that's going to do this little one here, this little black seam. Okay. I'm just going to pop a bit of glue there. Might use the iron to heat it up just to help. Push that over with your fingers, flatten it down. No little white seams or no stitching visible, which is great. It's exactly what you want. Okay, just going to grab my mat. Heat up that glue fraction just to hold it there in place. There you go, look at that. It's like a new one. Something showing on my screen, it can go away. Then that is number A6. So we're going to tick that off. We've got A6 down, done and dusted. What we now need to do is A7. So A7 is going to be the orange, which I don't have orange, so I'm going to use this one because I have some of that. That'll do just nicely. Funky looking shape, so I'll just cut something reasonable out of it. Very easy done. So that is definitely going to cover that area. A really wonky piece of fabric like that without being pressed can be really unruly when you're doing foundation piecing. You need to have them nice and flat. Just a heads up. All right. So with this one, again, we're going to fold that back to that stitch line, press so you can see it. Get your pencil so you can't miss it. And mark it in. Get your bit of fabric. Come up to that line. Oh, it's a salvage. I'm going to go this one. There and go past it. Pinning that down well out of the way. Yeah, like that. And we're going to stitch line 6 to 7. So A6 to A7, that's exactly what we're going to do now, which is this one here. Again, start in the corner, out, back again, down to the end, back again, and knot it off, okay? So, any questions so far at all? Is there anyone that needs to, feel free to write a message in if you need to see something again. Good. Pinching this one, must be explaining okay, am I? Makes sense. Fold that back. Fold that down. 1/4 inch seam. Trimmer off again. Did I take my pins out? No. Take them out. 1/4 inch. Now, if you do your seam less than a 1/4 inch, like a scant 1/4 inch or something like that, you're taking the risk that when you get this together, and there's a bit of pressure on the quilt, that the seam could pulled out. Okay, so just put a heads up on that one. Now this one we're going to flip nicely over. And I'm going to get that glue, put one in each corner, somewhere over there. Get my little mat. Over. And iron, just to hold that glue down. That way I don't have to sew around these corners. Less work for me, more playtime. All right, so now we've done A7, and that's a big tick. Now we're going to do A8. Can you see it there? Now that's got to join A1, 2, 3, 6, and 7. Got to join onto those there. So you're going to flip her over, and you're going to find that seam. And that's it there. It's where the yellow one started on that side. So we're going to flip that over and just press those down with our fingers. Same thing we've done each and every one. And as you get along, you might find you might not need to press it over. It might just, you know, you might be able to wing it. You've just got a good eyeball for it. But for when you're starting, especially beginners, it's really, really important to know where you've got to have your fabric to. And it also reminds you not to put your fabric on the wrong way. So don't be tempted to try and sew it on that way. You've got to have it over this way, all right, so that you can flip it. Now, next colour is going to be the darker one. I'm just going to flip that back over, just have a bit of an eyeball measurement. Oh, take the salvage off. How rude. There we go. Up to that line, the edge of it, the long edge, and then move forward a good 1/4 inch. Now my yellow one is telling me where my 1/4 inch is because I've already cut that at a 1/4 inch. So I can now pin that down through all those bits. Just like that. Flip it over and stitch the first one. Don't be tempted to stitch that one because you're wanting to stitch that one down. You've got to do this one, and you want to make sure that you are inside. There's my original seam that I sewed with the A1. I've got to come just inside it again, and it's literally a stitch width all the way down. Okay. Okay, so I've got that one done. I'll take those pins out again, trim off my threads, nice and easy. Oh, do you like my little mini duckbills, Helen? How cute are they? Right, don't flip yet. We've got to pinch that together. You'll start to get into these, and foundation piecing is not as hard as it seems. It's just a process. So once you get your process, head around the process, it'll just start happening the wrong way. Fold that over, do your 1/4 inch seam. Take that out, cross, and press over. Now, if you're using any other fabrics other than cotton, because you can use other fabrics in it, just remember not to stretch the fabric. You might need to use an iron or a starch. And I'm just going to stick that baby down. Finding the heat activating is much easier than trying to heat it up with my hand. Okay. Now we're going to stitch this line, but we need to put our other fabric there. So flip it back over, fold it back so you know where that stitch line is. To about there. Give you a good eyeball. Get your pencil, chalk pencil, any kind of chalk pencil, so you can see it. And you're going to go with your next colour. And I'm doing A8 to A9, so, or A9 to A8. So the next colour I can do is, we'll just do this one. And I probably need to give it a bit of a press. Nice. It doesn't need to be all that big, so I'll give it a quick trim. Okay, up to there and move it forward. So up to that line, move it forward and pin it down. Like I say, well out of your way. Come on, baby. Come on, darling. Flip it over and stitch. We're stitching this line here. So now we're stitching A9 to A8. We've done A8. This is the one we're going to do. So that's the line we're going to want to stitch. All right. Okay. That done. Take out those pins. Turn it around, pinch that together. Fold it over. Okay. Turn that 1/4 inch. And trim. Hey, going, Maggie? Rusty? Righto? Hey, guys, going all right? Thumbs up? All good? Good, good, good. Thanks, Helen. All right, let's, oops, trim those little hairy bits. Don't have hairy bits, can we have it, Helen? No hairy bits, can we, Helen? No. Grab that fabric and flip it over. Again, using your glue gun, good God, glue stick there and there. It's probably a little bit too much, but we'll just press that down. Should stay anyway, but fair amount on that. But we'll just give it a quick press. And see if anyone else is on there. No, let's see. I just need to see. Nice to share a video. I'm just sending some messages to, I think I've got everyone. There we go. Okay, so we might get some more people up there. So we've just done that one there. Flip it back over this way. That one is now done. We now need to stitch A10 to A9, okay? Now we're going to get this darker fabric. Make sure we've got a length that is enough for it. That's going to go across there beautifully. Wait, pin, be nice. Again, it's a little bit wonky looking, so I think I might need to just give it a quick press, because I did just grab it out of my scrap box. All right, so we're going to join A10 to A9. So this is the line we're going to want to stitch right there. So flip it back over, fold that fabric back so you can stitch to this line. That was Mary dropping stuff. Okay, Fold it back, mark it so you can see. Get your dark bit of fabric and move it forward. So you lined it up and then you're moving it forward. Pin it down. Down. Okay, keeping them well away from the seam edges on this side. All right, so then let me just flip it back and we're going to start again. Same scenario all the way across from there to there, where I put that X. If I do this side, it's absolutely useless. I'll end up stitching nothing. All right, so let's go do that one. Alrighty, take those babies out. Trim off your hairy legs. Grab that paper all the way across. Flip it over and cut your 1/4 inch seam. Flatten that back out. I want to put a little bit of glue there. Like I say, don't overdo it. I have seen people put the whole glue across there and they have the worst trouble trying to get it out, the paper, and it's a nightmare for them. So really and truly, don't overdo it with glue. That is my advice today. If I teach you nothing more than to go easy on the glue, trust me, you'll love me. All right, there we go. So flatten that down by heating up the glue, and now I'm going to fold that back to that next sew line, which is there. As you get and do these, you're going to get faster and faster and faster at them. I don't normally take this long to do them because I'm teaching you how to do them. I'm taking a step at a time, very, very slowly, and just being sure that you understand everything. So we've just sewn that one, A10. So now we're going to get A11 and join it to A10. And this is the line we want to sew. So flip it back over. Oh, that's the one I just drew with the crease. And the colour on the thing, I think it is a pink, a hot pink again. So I'm just going to grab this bit of fabric. Way too big. Sorry, just turn that facing you. There's my line there. Move it up to that line, move it past, and just pin that down. I don't want it flapping around while I'm trying to sew and causing issues. So I'm going to stitch that line, which is going to be this one where I put the X. And like I say, don't feel that you can't mark these as you go. Eventually we're going to tear them out, but just so you know where you're up to and you don't double stitch yourself or, you know, stitch way over here when you should be there, it's worthwhile marking them. Okay. Take the pins out. Here are legs. Pinch that. Flip it over and 1/4 inch. Down. Now look at that big piece of fabric. It's massive. You don't need all that fabric. So that is going to drive me nuts. So I need to trim that off, and looking where it's going to cover, go to about here. That's why having yours cut ready to go will save you that. I'm going to just trim that there and now, just to get them out of the way. So there we go. All right, so I flip that over, bit of glue here and here, down. It's going to stick anyway, which is brilliant. Fold it back to the next line. Finger press. Draw the line in. My next fabric is going to be the dark line again, because you know in between each colour is a dark line. And go here, up to that line and move it up. Pin it down. Pinning it again away from where I'm going to stitch. I'm going to flip it over and show you exactly where we are going to stitch. So we've just done this one here, A10. We've just attached, or just pinned down A11. All right. So we're going to do this line here. Yeah, that line there. I was going mad then. That one across there. So let's take a little machine and do it again. Now, with that line there, that number A11, I'll just show you. Just so from, say, this point here, the edge, to that point there. Don't be tempted to go all the way down. There's no point. There's no fabric over there. We're just going from there to there, just to sew that piece down, okay? So take off your little hairy bits. Trim them off, your little threads, get them out of the way, take your pins out. Pinch that together. Just like that, flip and trim that. Okay, flip it back over. And you can see I'm going to have another black line there. So get your little bit of glue. And I'm going to heat. Oh God, I've just told you to do the wrong thing. What a mad woman. God. Sorry, ladies, don't do the black thread there, black thing there. Oh my God, I'll tell you what I've just done. How stupid am I? I'll show you. You'll laugh your head off in a minute. I didn't have to put the black on yet. So what I told you not to do before, because it's pointless, I just did it, not even thinking. Show you. Just show you. I'm just going to glue that down. Leave it glued. Don't undo it. By putting the black there, it's only going to give me this much black. I need to go all the way. Silly woman. Anyway, I've glued it down. It can just stay there. All right. Stupid woman, aren't I? Hey, that's me all over, isn't it, Helen? Hey? What we want to do now is turn it. So we've got to join all those. So we've got A5, A4, A1, A8, A9, A10, and A11. We're going to do that line there to there. So we've got to turn it. So fold them up. Such a dick sometimes. All right, so fold them down. Oh dear. All right. Do as I say, not as I do. Is that what That's what Mum used to say. All right. There we go. I'm going to get rid of those little hairy bits later. They'll annoy me. So there's my line all across there. And now we get our black piece and it goes across there. So get that black one, line it up with that line and then move a 1/4 inch ahead. Now, if you have a look here, that yellow one, I've already got a 1/4 inch there with that. So just line it up, eyeball it, chicken scratch, whatever you got to do with that yellow, pin it down and all the way down there. Flip her over. Now don't forget, we have that first line there that we've stitched with A1. We need to come inside that. So you're going to pretty much run just inside on the left-hand side of that black line from here all the way to here. Okay, so I'll do that. Okay, right. Take out these doobers. Turn that off. Trim off that. Okay, pinch those pieces and fold that paper back, and I'm going to run the blade from here to here and cut that off. It's just out of camera, but you see what you know what I'm doing. I've done it the whole way through. Get rid of those. Okay, it's a bit unruly, so I might just throw line on that there. And push that over. I'm going to fold that back. I'm not gluing this time. I'm just going to fold that back. Just give myself a point of reference. Just there. Hey, I found out the other day, I seen a demo of someone doing it, and I thought, what a cool idea that is. You know, these chalk pencils and that, and they're ceramic. You know those makeup sponges, those white ones, little wedges. That gets them off. That gets that off the fabric. Or you just in the direction of the actual pencil mark, it gets them off every time. Crazy, hey? Little makeup sponges. All right, so next colour is I'm going to do is that big one, so that's A13. So I've got just sewn A12 down. So that seam there I've just done, and that one there I've just done. So I've got that there. I've made a reference line. Okay. A nice long bit, square bit. Now this big square bit's got to cover a fair area, so that's going to cover that. I think I used a yellow, I did in mine, so let's get a sample piece. I can use this. Want to make sure it covers, and you can see I've got a tear or cut there. So I want to make sure that that goes past that, which it should. I'll go from there to there. Yeah. As long as I'm not too generous with the seam. So move it up to where it needs to be. Okay, and then move it 1/4 inch further. How are you going there, Maggie? Thumbs up, all good? Everyone else? Gidget, Dot, Melissa? All thumbs up, all good? Don't forget, there's that chat box down the bottom if you need to talk to me or ask me a question, or you need to just verbalize something. You can't type like that. It's easy to verbalize. Just unmute yourself, or ask, I think it says ask to be unmuted, and I can unmute you and you can ask, okay? So now I'm going to sew this line here. So I've just placed down fabric number A13 and I'm sewing it to A12, all right? So I've got to sew from this point here, right up there, that one there, down to here. All right, so let's take this baby to the machine. Just a side note, because I'm not too sure whether I can remember, I can't remember whether you guys were here when we first started. I did say, some of you might not have been, I think Gidget wasn't, that your stitch length needs to be on 1.2 or 1.5, just reiterating that. So I've pinched that, folded the paper back, and I'm going to trim that bit of fabric. A massive piece of fabric, so I am going to have to trim it right off. And I'm going to flip just like that. Hang on, I've got to get rid of my hairy legs. Okay, and I'm going to put that little dab of glue right up there in that corner. Fold it over. Grab my little iron because I don't want that to flop around. It's such a big piece, it could become very unruly very quickly. So I can see it's sort of going everywhere. Because you guys would have done the cutting list, hopefully you won't have this, but if you're ever doing any other project and you've got them hanging out everywhere, as in your fabric, you might need to just trim some of it off if it's going to get in your way. All right, just a heads up. Now that one's nice and down, and I've heat set it with the glue. Might need to put a little bit of heat there. The glue stick, oh yeah, it's still there. I must have missed it. There we go. That'll make it stay in place. Stay, stay, stay. Now I'm going to move it. Stay. There we go. Nice and flat. Okay. Now we do this one all the way across there, but we don't do that until we've got our black piece. So we need our black piece of navy, which I think I've just run out. So I'm going to grab another color. This will do. All right, it's dark and all the rest of that jazz. I'll just give it a quick press because it is very crease being in that box of stuff. So this is just a piece of jelly roll. I found. Yeah. But it's a dark colour and it'll do the job. Yeah, should be right. Alrighty. So grabbing that. Oh, got a nice straight edge there. Fold that back so you know where your 1/4 inch is. You should know because we just we've been trimming as we're going. It's pretty good. Just so you can see that there. And here. With your fabric up to the line and over. This would be your black fabric, just a heads up. So don't think I'm using a coloured piece as such. Pretend that is black. All right. So up to the line, over it, pin it down. Take it to the machine and stitch it down. And you're stitching down that long line. So now that was that line I did before. So all the way across there, okay, from top to bottom. So starting at one end up here, and going all the way down the bottom. All right. Take the pins out. Hold that back. Now the glue's stuck to that. We'll just pull that off. There. And trim. Cut off any threads. Like I say, do it now because later on they will drive you nutty. Trust me. Fold that down. Crease it backwards on that second line. The one we've just stitched is this one. And then we're going to fold it back for the one in front of it. And just mark it. We've got an idea of where we've got to go to. Even if it's a rough mark, as long as you know reasonably close to where you've got to go to. I'm just going to give that skin a bit of a press. You don't have to. You can just finger press the whole way through. So the next one we've just sewn. We've sewn that. We've sewn that one. And now we're going to stitch A15 to A14, which is our last one for this block. So very exciting. This is the pointy end of it. Well, not really, but we're going to, I'm just going to use something, I'll just use a bit of yellow. It's bright. And I'm just going to cut a piece. All right. Up to that line. Now it looks like I've got a bit of a stitch or a selvage or something there. I think it is a stitch line. Yeah, that's okay then, as long as it's not selvage. Nothing worse than seeing when you're doing a quilt for someone and they've put all this magnificent effort into all this work and then you see a selvage. Just, oh, Maggie! Yay, Maggie! Woohoo! Look at you go ahead, girl. Nice, show and tell. All right, so I'm just gonna pin that down. I've just brought it, oh, nearly did it wrong then. Pin it down, move it forward, of course, like 1/4 inch, then pin it down. Sidetrack with Maggie's amazingness. All right, then flip her over and we're going to stitch pretty much our last line, which is going to be from here all the way to here. And that's going to sew A15 to 14, there to there. Okay, so I'll take that to the machine. There we go. Okay. Bring it back over, take those pins out. I'm gonna just zoom out a little. You don't see pretty much all of it. And I'm going to grab this. I can, Christine's, yeah, so if you guys want to unmute yourself, you can. We're almost, we've got around about 20 minutes. Any questions and stuff, we can spend time talking. So you can always unmute yourself. So fold that back. Again, your 1/4 inch, trim that. And trim off any little bits. Both sides. Don't forget the other side. We've already trimmed, flip it over. Get that little bit of glue. This will just help, especially when we tidy it up, which is the next step. And we're going to just press that down. And it is a press, not an iron. You're not ironing a shirt for your hubby. Oh, that was my machine, sorry. Okay. Alrighty. So we have done a block, but it's still looking pretty nasty. So we still have to clean it. So that little bit of glue will help you now. I can tick that one off as done. You're going to be thankful that you got that glue down there. Using that line, don't cut on that line. You want to cut a 1/4 inch outside of that line. If you cut on that line, you are going to cut everything about 1/2 inch too small the whole way around. So use that line, that's your stitch line, not your cut line. So that outside line, cut all the way through. Don't do it from the other side, do it from this side. And the next one. Stuck. I think I need to clean my blades. And this one, using the ruler, not your mat. Mats change with age and use. Rulers don't adjust like that. And there. Yeah. That's nice and clean now. And look, how nice is that? Hey, how cool is that? Yay, it does work. Alrighty, so let me just go, I'll stay on mute. Right, just see if I can get everyone. All right. Okay, I think I've got everyone. Yep. Okay, guys, so how do you feel about that? Do you reckon that's something you can do?
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah? Cool. Yeah, it's not undoable, is it? It's quite easy and it's just a process. So once you do one process each and every time, it just becomes repetitive. The only time I find that I feel that I forget how to do this is if I've let it let it sit for like months, and then I come back to do it again, and I've got to stop and think, oh my God, okay, now I've done this 1,000 times. Now where do I start? So that's the only time I find that I've got to sit there and really think about it. Otherwise, it tends to just work. But the big thing is to remember to stop those seams from being visible. And you'll see on mine, there are, oh, that's not too bad. Oh yeah, little hairy bits because I didn't cut them.
Unmute.
Yeah, you're unmuted. Okay, so I've missed the seam there. I can hear you. No, that's fine. So I've missed the stitch there on that one, so I can see the stitch there. It's too late now because it's all well and truly joined together. But so I have to go back and unpick that at a later time and get it out. So if you do find, like you did earlier, Maggie, that you can see that stitch like hiding in just behind that seam, and it's sort of showing, right? You need to come in and stitch that one bit behind the seam you just did, yeah? How you going? Yeah, yeah, and it worked, didn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, all right, awesome. So, move camera. Hi.
I'm just doing 15.
Number 15, cool.
I'm
So you kept up really
a bit
well.
slow.
Hey?
I'm a bit slow.
No, there's no race. The beauty is we're recording, so you guys will be able to come back anytime and watch and fast forward and all that sort of jazz, and it's going to be there for as long as I'm alive. So, and it'll only be for you guys. It's a paid one. So that just shows you.
I love Gidget's hat.
You did what?
I love Gidget's hat.
I had a shower and my hair's up.
Love it, but no one else can see that but us. It's all good. Love it. How are you feeling, Helen?
Yeah, pretty good, thanks. I'll be there on Wednesday.
Yay.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it. Haven't seen you guys, but you should see the room. I've got to actually clean this place up well until before you guys get here. It's like a bomb's hit it.
I'm sure it's fine. One question, do you have to use walking foot?
No. Just happen to be on my machine. No, not at all. No.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, any foot. I mean, you can use a zipper foot if you want to. It doesn't matter. So as long as you're getting a 1/4 inch. Excuse me. As long as you're actually stitching on that line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No worries.
Yeah.
Very good.
Well, I got my one done.
You got what? Hey, way, Ratto. Well done, you, girlfriend. Nice. Yeah, it's good. So we got 3 plus my little sample. So between now and next Monday,
Yep.
get as many of these done as you can. I know it's time consuming. You will get quicker than a 2-hour stint to one, trust me. So you can actually sort of chain stitch if you wanted to, basically by just doing one section. So you do section A, like I said, and then you'll do that in all of them. Then you go section, 1, and then go section 2, and then you do that in all of them. And 3, and so on and so forth. So you can just do that, and then all of a sudden, you know, you've this stuff, and then all of a sudden you'll have, when you finish those, you've got like 16 done, and it go, I've done 16. How cool am I? So, yeah, you can do it that way. Because next week I want to show you how to join some together.
Good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yes, so this is your basics. This is where you start. We're going to join them together. That's the next thing. Sorry?
Better mute. They're just they're going to start my ute and you will hear it.
Oh, cool.
We're all listening.
All right, waiting.
We got the ear out.
Oh,
All right. Well, that was a pure anticlimax. If that's already
I'm
started
well.
and gone, I can't hear anything.
I muted it.
You do? Oh, we were waiting for it.
No, it'll echo right up the alleyway.
Michelle, what?
You know, the big the big thumping V8 goes down.
An old V8, yes.
Oh, well, yeah. Oh dear.
now,
The other blocks. What are the other blocks for?
Oh, there you're edging.
Oh, okay.
the little ones,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
Now, do we
Yep.
trim all this off now to that line?
Don't do the on the line. You want to make sure it's 1/4 inch past the line.
Oh.
You see that? If you cut
Okay.
on the line, you're going to cut it all too small.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Good. I'm
Yep,
glad you
yep,
asked.
got it.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. So next week we're going to do some joining together, and I'll get started into those borders, and then I want to show you how I joined the borders together, and then we're going to, you know, there are lots to do. So, but you've got 16 of these to make, and then you're going to have 21 of the borders, but the borders are smaller, must say, much easier. But your border is, you could do it in the same colours, you can do it different colours if you like, you could do it all one colour with a black between, it doesn't matter, it's entirely up to you. So the borders, I'll show you. A few minutes to go. Before I get,
So, Michelle, all the cutting out that we've done,
yep.
is that just for these big blocks?
No, that should be for all of it.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yep, got it. Got it.
So there's your border. See?
Oh, awesome.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So I'm going to show you this sort of border where you can see that that's the guts of the quilt there. Then we've got the border, and the border actually goes, it joins top and bottom and then the side. Yeah, so I haven't got one border on yet on this, which is this one, because I wanted to leave that for when we do the class. So you can see how they go across.
Yes.
Yeah. I was trying to figure that out.
Now we're sending them to you to quilt.
You do that if you like, especially now I'm going to have a second machine coming along. Oh, God. I've got to keep her working eventually. So, but yeah, look, it's if you don't want to put the borders on, or you only want to make 12 blocks, that's okay too. You don't have to do the whole 16. I've just given you enough in the cutting and the whole thing to do what I've got. Okay, I mean, you can
Okay.
make two lap quilts out of it, or pillows on it. It doesn't matter. You know, put extra borders on. You know, you might decide to do that instead. It's all up to you. The whole thing is entirely up to you. It becomes yours in the end. So it's not my quilt. This is your quilt. This is what we're doing for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. All right. So if you decide to turn it into a dog bed, I'm never talking to you again. No, I'm joking.
Oh, no. My granddaughter will love this.
Oh yeah, kids will love it because it's so bright. And how
Yeah.
about the one I did yesterday? So now you think about the crazy quilting, right?
Oh, that's
Yeah.
nice.
Oh, I know. So we did those.
Yes, beautiful.
So nice.
Oh,
Really
really?
nice.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you, if you're going to do one of these, you know, why not use, there's something like this. You've got something like this that can be,
All in there.
yeah, or there. So on the last video, I'm going to show you how I was taught many moons ago how to actually make your own foundation piecing pattern
Oh,
from scratch. Yeah, so that's a little bit of a bonus at the end. It was something I was taught many, many moons ago, and I've always avoided it like the plague. Recently. And it's not hard, it's just getting your head around it. Same thing as what we're doing today, that working in reverse thing.
I know, that's the hardest part.
It is, isn't it? Yeah,
To
it is.
remember.
Yeah, yeah, you've got it all flipped around the wrong way and you're like, oh my God, I can't have it on that side, it's got to be on this side, because if I put it on that side, I'm just going to miss the whole thing, or I'm going to sew it down, you're going to be able to see the seam. I guarantee you at least one of you does it. Guarantee it.
I've done it twice already.
I told you. Oh dear. And isn't it a pain, because you've done it at 1.5 mil on your stitches, so to undo it, I hope you got the little because that'd be the easiest way. Get them undone. The stitches are like 1.5 mil. You'd never get them undone with an unpicker. So yeah, so it just, and even these, I mean, if you've got ribbon, why not use ribbon, something shiny?
I got lace.
There you go.
I'm doing mine in black and white, and this is my.
Oh, nice. That'll be nice, Helen. That'll be gorgeous.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, and see, even say this gap here, like these ones here, the thinner ones, you got things like, oh, sorry, you couldn't even see it. These thinner ones here, if you've got a ribbon, say, obviously not this one because it's see-through, but if you've got a ribbon that's that wide and it fits in, and if it's got a decoration on it, you can get it in that spot, then why not?
Yeah.
You know, even if you have it over the top of the fabric, have a double layer. So when you're putting your, your pink down, between the pink and the actual that black strip, you'll have your ribbon. And when you fold them over, you'll be sewing through two pieces of fabric, stitch them down. Does that make sense? So you've got your fabric and then you've got the ribbon. So your ribbon will be stitched into the actual seam. Yeah?
Yep, I understand.
Yeah. You can always stitch over the top of these things. So if you've got something that's decorative like that and you've got a long edge from one edge to the other, no reason why you can't throw that in down there.
Yeah, beautiful.
As long as it's from edge to edge, you can put it on over the top so that you can actually sew it into the seam. If it was in one of these, you're going to need to put it in while you're doing the actual piece.
Yep.
Yeah?
Here's a double needle.
Ew, never done that.
Haven't you used a double needle?
No, that sounds way too hard.
Oh no, that's how I do my bindings with that double needle.
Oh, really? Good Lord. Yeah, wow. Never done it.
Only because I used to do jeans.
Ah, yes, I don't really, I haven't. I think the last time I did jeans of any kind, I think it was denim skirts, mini skirts, mind you. High school, year 8, 9. Was the last time I ever did anything in denim. Don't think there were double needles back then if that would have fit my machine. I don't think so. But yeah, so no, it's been a long time since I've done denim, but I do know that denim does look awesome with patchwork on it. Yeah. So, and I did see someone the other day, you know how they have jeans and they've got those rips in them that go sideways? They actually put a piece of fabric, like something nice and bright and funky, behind it.
Yeah.
Sort of do, rather than covering up the rips, they actually put it behind it. It creates like a real texture thing with they left the rips there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. So everyone's happy?
Very.
Thank you.
Good. Okay.
Enjoyed it thoroughly.
Good, good. So I'm going to, again, like I say, I've not used Zoom before, so I'm hoping, well, it did record, it is recording still, so I'm hoping that I can get that somewhere that you guys can get to it easy. I'm told pretty much that you just have to tap back into it, but I will get a link of some sort and get it to you anyway. All right.
Okay, because it says record on my phone.
Does it?
Yeah, it's recording on my phone too.
Yeah. Okay. So it's recording for you at your end too.
Mm.
Oh,
Oh,
it says.
Maybe it's just.
oh, I see. I don't know whether it's recording or not.
Hmm.
I've just got a red REC up in the corner on my phone.
Which means you
Oh,
haven't.
right.
Yeah, you haven't recorded because it wouldn't be read.
Oh,
But I
Oh.
recorded my end, so don't stress.
Oh.
I'll have it there available for you.
So I
Yep.
should have pushed that record. Should I have?
I don't know
Oh, well, doesn't matter. We're here. All
exactly.
that matters.
And I'll have it available for you. So it's all good. All of these, the 4 sessions will be all available for you. You'll be able, like I say, until the day I die. If not, probably after that. Here until the bloody cows come home. Anyway, so.
I've had a few of those, love.
The cows come home, yeah. Oh, dear. Well, thank you guys for joining me. I much appreciate your time. Glad you got.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Absolutely. Look forward to next Monday. This afternoon, I'm going to do a live sale and demo. I think, yes, demo. I think I said demo. Yeah, I did say demo. Anyway,
All right.
I'll be there.
Here the Sabo.
See you guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.